Today is the first day of May, that is Labor Day. Please tell us something on this occasion.
On this day I remember and pay full respect to all the laboring classes. I offer my sincere good wishes and regards to the laborers all over the world, and at the same time I offer my respectful salute to all the functional elements in nature: the sun, the moon, the planetary system, the soil, water, energy, the wind, the vast sky, as the genuine workers of the universal Mother Nature. They are all rendering uncommon service and labor for the welfare and benefit of the living world. Therefore, they deserve our unreserved respect and gratitude. Laborers might have died and have left the world forever, but their memory is still living in the objects of their own creation. They were the architects of the modern world where we are living today. Laborers may have died and left us, but their creations are their memorials even now. Much of what we see all over the world are the fruits of their labor, but we hardly acknowledge that. Rather, we talk only of those who are rich and wealthy. Usually, we cherish the memory of the prosperous persons who helped the construction of big-size industrial plants, buildings, and archaeological monuments by donation of funds. But we never acknowledge the large number of workmen who did the work by their hard labor and skillful artistry. The Taj Mahal is now a synonym for Shah Jahan and his queen Mumtaz Mahal. It would have been fair and judicious if the names of hordes of planners, skilled workers, and highly gifted artisans who built up the great mausoleum were kept inscribed in golden letters on the pages of history. The trend is continuing in the same way even now. We never mention those people who toiled hard with the sweat of their brow to create and construct palatial housing estates, industrial estates, or sites of archaeology all over the world. In fact, they are the pillars on which the entire society of mankind rests. But ironically, they are today the most neglected, deprived, and exploited. There's hardly anybody to stand by them and consider their demands and claims. They are the builders, creators, and decorative artists, while the privileged section of society are the end users and beneficiaries. It is a veritable crime to enjoy good facilities at the cost of the toiling millions. This is a scenario of contrast. A class will produce and another will consume. The laborers and actual producers are being denied their share of the yield. This cannot go on. But surprisingly enough, no feelings of brotherly sympathy is ever aroused in our hearts, although we live on the laborious services rendered by porters, hawkers, cartmen, and pullers and pushers of all sorts. We are used to blame the profiteers, hoders, and other types of beneficiary middlemen. But are we also not to be blamed for overlooking the wretched plight of those very hands of labor who provide us all the amenities of good living? A day will come, I can foretell, when the new generation will make an assessment in depth and then condemn us in damnation. Historians will write and put on record that the laboring class suffered the most at the hands of the opportunists, devoid of the spirit of humanity during the times of our generation. The root cause of shortage of essential supplies lies in the complete disorder of the society, as the main pillars supporting the structure have been thrashed to smithereens. I wish the day comes soon when we will be able to accommodate all those left out without any reservation. But we find that it's rather easy to profess high but fail to perform. I am not telling all this from any political angle. These are all based on the high principles preached by the holy Vedas. In those days, the laborers, porters, farmers were treated with very high regard. The manual laborers, servicing steadily with traditional tools and implements like spades and soil diggers and hammers, even brooms, used to be received with welcome on their arrival at any place of work. Those decorative markings were symbolic of the traditional tools and implements used by all kinds of laborers in the farms and factories. That was the way of paying regard to the workmen and their working implements. In fact, the society used to be the functional unit of labor rendered by the toiling masses. Those high objectives and principles lost importance in course of time because the very concept got perverted owing to ignorance and loss of values. The symbolic markings gradually lost due significance. Instead of relevance to the realities of life and profession, those were converted to some imaginary status far removed from mundane assumptions. They led to disputes and dissensions, misunderstandings, clash of interest among the people, divided in their outlook on such matters. It is now necessary for all concerned to go deep into the malaise for remedy and solution. In those Vedic times, people used to go the rounds of the actual activities for upliftment of the externals and the internals of the land. They were content with the living conditions, so they could devote their energy for higher achievements. Mutual relationship among the members of the community used to be sweet, affectionate, and respectful. Instead of exploitation, they used to thrive on mutual help and cooperation. There was all-round progress of the society. But the situation has changed for the worse now. Had we been equally generous and helpful to the laborers and workers, then there would not have been any degradation as we are experiencing today. Welfare and development of the country depends on our compassionate behavior towards the working class. But the pity is that we treat them like dumb animals and just throw some petty stuff towards them as consumption. In our society and family life, all members have to do some work, more or less. The Vedas observed that the labor force functioned almost like the parents for man's sustenance and development, and in the same way they nurse the feelings of one's wife. In fact, their role is just like that of the Kalpataru, which means a wishing tree. Our duty should be its growth and sustenance. Instead, they are now subjected to maltreatment, exhaustive pressure of work, and unkind exploitation. On the contrary, we are reaping the benefit and amenities of life at their cost. Our garden houses and picnic sites are coming up on the skeletons of the helpless lot who sacrificed their energy and life for mankind. But such monstrosity would not have been tolerated or condoned by the Vedic society. I think, had anybody been alive today, they would not have tolerated all the nonsense going on in our society. In their estimation, theirs would have been the only animal life instead of human beings. But I find even the beasts and animal life possess mutual love, affection, and fellow feeling, but we human beings are now much inferior to them. I feel pain to see there is constant dispute and a spirit of mutual evil motive among the people. In the industrial sector, the owners declare lockouts without the least concern for the workers who crowd the mill gate that's closed on their face. I admire their patience and forbearance. Even God himself would have responded compassionately. But this class of owners of mills and factories are so heartless that they remain totally unconcerned. The situation defies all the limits of tolerance. In the Vedic period, people would have revolted against such atrocity. Time has come to burn down this societal structure and build a new civilized social habitat on the very soil covered by their ashes. That is why I give the signal of warning that the situation may be saved even now. if sincere efforts are made, taking pity on the hapless people suffering silently, leaving all to fate. They need full empathy and cooperation of the community so that they may regain their power, strength, and self-confidence. If we consider this working class to be the pillars holding up the social structure, then we must take care that these pillars of strength do not crumble, because that will be suicidal, just like perishing in the trap dug by one's own misdeeds.